is a lie. It's just energy transfer. Death is a lie. It's just energy transfer. 'Cause we're all alive. It's just energy transfer. We're all alive.
So just sit in an easy pose with your legs folded one over the other, with your palms above your knees, facing up. Slightly turn your head up with your eyes closed. Focus towards the middle, right between your eyebrows. Relax your jaw, and with inhale, say, I am not the body. And with exhale, say, I am not even the mind. Inhale, I am not the body. Exhale, I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I am not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. Not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. I am not the body. I'm not even the mind. Take a second. Sit in silence. Head still tilted up. Eyes still closed. But take your time. Take your time. Slowly open your eyes. What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 3 of Mind, Body, and Monk. I just kind of wanted to revert back really quick to even our first episode of Many Benefits of Yoga with Drea Love, and just attack some things here. So we were talking about yoga with Drea, and we kind of talked about how you can be doing yoga even when you're not doing the exercise part of it and everything. So I wanted to expand on that a little bit. Yoga is thousands upon thousands of years old, and through time, I think maybe it was the 17th century or 18th century that the exercise, the physical part, started becoming a thing. Um, there's many aspects of yoga derived from the Vedas and the Hindu belief. You have your hatha, your karma, your mantra, your draj, your shiva, and so on. And what yoga necessarily means is it's a way of life. It's how you eat, it's how you act. It's within the meditation, it's within the mantras as well. So I feel like that's important to start this episode out on, because I'm about to go into something that is going to explain how I have worked on my depression and worked through my spiritual plight through different sides of yoga. So in saying that, we just got done with a crazy year, and even in saying that, so many things happened within that. I think what I've heard more out of anything was people going into that seasonal depression a little bit early, kind of being stuck at home, not being able to go outside as much, do the things that they're used to, have the jobs that they're used to. Personally, I'm used to playing a lot of shows. I haven't been able to do that in about a year. Actually, it was a year today was my last show with Monkh and the People. So it's been a little bit of a thing for me. So what I chose to do was dive in straight into what people would call shadow work, indoor, my depression or whatnot, and just kind of face it straight on and get rid of it. So in that, this episode is called, is it depression or is it a spiritual awakening? And I just want to start out, really by talking about how I changed my eating habits. Before, I kind of grew up on a bit of a Mediterranean diet, being my background and being raised by my mother, who's a Sicilian mother. I was actually just talking to her about this today, how I was always angry because I'd see all my friends getting these hamburgers and French fries for dinner, all these things, the fried chickens and all this stuff. And I would come home and I'd have, some baked chicken with a cooked tomato on top. And I'm just like, what is this, And she would always argue with me and tell me that, it was healthy for me, I got to eat it, and all these vegetables and stuff. And it wasn't until I got older that I actually realized that, she was onto something there. And she was actually just really trying to push a healthy diet and a healthy mentality of my life. So it wasn't until I got a little bit older that I started realizing some things. When I was about 18 years old, I went through some stuff. I think my family kind of moved away and I was in my own zone. And I started feeling the plights of what you call depression, and I didn't know how to handle it. Even though I had already started my spiritual journey with meditation back when I was 13 and diving through different religions, and even around that same time is where I found the Dalai Lama and Buddhism. I still really didn't know how to handle it. I really wasn't grasping what I was reading on when I was reading Dalai Lama's books. At that point in time, it took me some time to register. So in saying that, I was eating very unhealthily, going to McDonald's all the time because it was just cheap food. It was just easy to grab, and even when I was grocery shopping, I was getting a lot of processed foods, a lot of things in boxes I could throw either in the oven real quick or in the microwave. And my face was breaking out really bad. My skin, my body was breaking out really bad. I developed psoriasis pretty terribly all across my body, which made it really hard to go outside and all this stuff. And it was really just diving deeper into my depression. My mentality was really negative at that point in time in my life. Even though I was really trying to find myself, I was still had this really negative mentality and outlook on how people reacted towards me, and how I reacted towards the world and things that would happen to me. So in saying that, I went through drinking a lot, going to bars all the time, and ended up, crashing my car, almost, killing myself and getting a DUI and all that stuff, which even led deeper into another side of depression. And I just kept diving deeper and deeper. It really wasn't until it started with my diet. I'm just going to be honest. It started with my eating habits, that I started getting fresh vegetables and fresh fruits, and going back to even at the time, eating chicken, which I don't eat meat anymore. But even at the time, that was a lot better than what I was doing. And it wasn't until then that I started feeling better. My body started feeling better at first. My mind started feeling stronger. It is within my belief. I started diving in, and I found people like Hippocrates and the old ancient Indian Ayurveda, and as of more recent, Dr. Sebi, talking about eating being what you eat being some of the most important medicine that you can be taken in this world. And it really just comes down to the belief of we're pretty much eating the sun. We're eating the energy from the sun. So everything that is planted in the ground, from your vegetables, your fruits, ginger roots, and even the sea moss and all that stuff, it all is coming from the flight of the sun and the rain. And that's the first generation of food. So you get your most energy from that stuff right there. And then the animals that you eat, they eat that food, right? And so that would be, if you're a meat eater, you eat the second generation, right? And then after that, you're in each generation that you go on, further that you go on, the more that you open yourself up to possible diseases or anxieties or stress and all these different negative, lower vibrational happenings and diseases, for that matter, depending on how much you dive into it. Obviously with the processed foods, you're eating those, that's way far down the line. The fast foods, that's way far down the line. So just diving back into it, I started changing my habit and started focusing on those more first and second generational eating habits, and that changed everything in my life. And that's when I really started diving back into a really focused meditation and mantra kind of everyday movement. And the way I see it, diving back into the depression thing, is a lot of people I see, they're just like, I'm depressed, and then they sit in it, and they kind of, when focusing this on me, is when I was depressed, I would always kind of want attention with it. You know what I mean? I wasn't feeling a certain way when I'd be around my family because they weren't acknowledging something I felt like they should be acknowledging. So I would do things like maybe be the only one sitting over in the corner. And so somebody would come and ask, like, what's wrong with you? And that's what I was wanting to happen, because then I could say what was wrong with me, right? And at the end of the day, it was really only serving that moment in time, because at the end of the day, I just went home and had the same feelings, if not worse, after that. So it really was only feeding that moment in time, and they were enabling the fact of me just diving deeper into those negative thoughts or vibrations or depression. And understanding that after a certain amount of time, that I was just kind of like, why am I sitting here in my pool of depression? You know what I mean? It's like I like to put the analogy of, you got like a above ground pool, right? And you're just sitting in it, right? And the water keeps getting deeper and deeper, and you're sitting there and you're drinking. You got your party cup, you got your your substances, whatever you want to do, to try to subside for the very short term moment, of how you feel, to take you away from your feelings for this short term moment. And you're just kind of sitting there, and you're yelling at other people that are outside your pool, like, "Hey, I'm depressed." You know what I mean? Come look at me. I'm depressed. And other people got their pools too, and they're like, "Well, I'm depressed too." So you're like, "All right, let's do this together." And after a while, that water keeps going, and water keeps going till it's up to your chin, it's up to your nose. You can't breathe no more. You know what I mean? It's past your eyes. You can't see no more, right? And then it's above your head, and at that point in time, you're gone. Um, and you just let it overtake you. So there was a certain point where I said, "Fuck this pool," excuse my language. I said, "Forget this pool," and uh, and pretty much aired it out. Bagged it up and threw it away. And it was really the another analogy I like to see is like not sitting in your depression. A lot of people think that spirituality, and when people say peace and love, you know what I mean, um, that you're hiding away, or you're just kind of walking away from all the bad in the world, or all the bad in your mind. You know what I mean? And you're just sweeping it under the rug and not paying attention to it. That's not the true plight, at least in my eyes, of what spirituality or finding your truth is. It's really the exact opposite. It's going into the depths of the darkness of yourself, and as a warrior, you know what I mean, with your shield and weapons, and fighting off all this darkness, until there's nothing but light, and the light overshines everything, right? I like to say it's like cleaning your house. When you clean your house, you're almost risking, you know what I mean? You're bringing up all this bacteria and all this dust and everything, and you're almost risking getting yourself sick in a way. You're sneezing probably because that dust is getting everywhere and all this stuff. You're cleaning toilets, showers, your floors, dishes, taking the trash out, right? But you're taking the precautions around that as well. And at the end of the day, your house is clean. Your house is bacteria, you can roam free, you can breathe easier. It's the same difference to me. So you're just cleaning the house in your mind. But in that, you know what I mean, you have to go through the mess, and you got to clean that. You're not cleaning around the mess. You're not walking away from the mess. You're going straight to the dirtiest part of your house, and you're sweeping it up. You know what I mean? You're mopping that stuff out. So it's really just in that, and once I started understanding that in my life, it still even took a long time. I'm in my 30s, early 30s now, and I would say that it really did take a whole decade for me to understand and have a clear path of what I was doing to myself, and how to walk through. You keep walking through the darkness, you know what I mean, and not just stand there in the middle of a lost forest of just all these, nightmares and old memories, you know what I mean, and things that I thought people had done wrong to me, and holding on to these things, you know what I mean, which led to trust issues, and it led to me getting sick all the time and all these things, because that's the reality of it, right? If you stay in these lower vibrations, you know what I mean, it's going to start with, mental sicknesses, you're going to start taking yourself away from people the wrong way, and you're going to not trust anybody. And when people come at you, you're going to say, "This is why I don't trust anybody," right? But then you dive deeper into that, and you just kind of you deeper into these holes that lead more into these mental issues, until you kind of trapped yourself. And I've even seen people, start reaching out to substances. They'll go to the doctor once they start having this mental illness, whether it's anxiety, anything from anxiety or heavy stress. You get those antidepressants, and it starts there. Or you go to the doctor once everything starts becoming physical, because you might not be eating healthy, which opens up possibilities for diseases, or your joints to start hurting and stuff like that. So you start going to the doctor, and the doctor's like, "Oh, I got you. Start taking this pill." So you start taking these pills, and you get more addicted to these pills, and then the next thing the mental and the physical become even more. The illnesses become more of a thing in your life, and now you're relying off these these pharmaceuticals to put you in a zone where really the best that they do is just make you numb, right? And it's not a state of enlightenment. It's not a state of anything necessarily positive. It's just kind of putting you into a waking life purgatory, where you don't feel anything, you barely see anything, you just kind of hear, and you're really not even here. You're kind of already dead in a lot of ways, So I've unfortunately seen people go through this so much, especially here in America, where it is big. You got big pharma, and you have things like Monsanto and now Bayer that push these ways of life heavily, and say this is what it is. And unfortunately, they get to such a deep point in their life that something wrong happens. They no longer understand how to take care of it with their own mind and their body and soul, that they take enough pills and then their life is over, because they start relying on these pills, you know what I mean? A lot like how we rely on our phones for information, it's the same difference. So it wasn't really until I realized what was going on there. I never really dove into the pharmaceuticals. Thankfully, the people that were around me and that my mother and father, they'd never really been into that belief system. So that wasn't a thing for me. But it wasn't until I realized that I was addicted to things, marijuana and alcohol and different types of food and just a negative aspect of life. We have so many addictions that we don't really think about, because they're not necessarily like we're doing crack, you know what I mean, or something all the time. There's a lot smaller, but in the same sense, they're just as effective. They're just as negative as something that is out there like that. So that's what I started diving into, and that's when people started looking at me real crazy, like, why are you doing this? Why you stop eating this like this? You're already a small person. You're already a skinny dude naturally. Why you stop eating so much meat? Why you stop smoking weed? Why you stop drinking? Because I wasn't bad at any of these things. I wasn't an overly drinker. I wasn't smoking all the time type of thing. But it was, to me, it didn't matter how much I was already partaking. It was that I didn't want to anymore. We already live in an illusion. Why was I adding even more to that illusion with these substances? And once I got to that point, it was like a veil had been lifted, and I could finally have this true conversation with this higher power, what you call maybe God or higher vibration or what, and I started getting some more signs, starting out with things like angel numbers and I mean, just everything. It's really hard to attach, because it's like every day something else. Once you're open to it, it just happens that way. Once again, people call me crazy and all these things, but mentally I'm in the best zone I've ever been in. Physically, I'm in the best zone I've ever been in, and that's just what it was, So to me, you got to see your depression not as a point in time where it's a done and done thing, I'm in this depression and I'm stuck, See it as an opportunity to grow, as a light that says, or a darkness that says, this is something that you have to hop over. You know what I mean? Because in a lot of ways, you could be on a good path in life, and you kind of get ungrateful of that because you're not seeing, all the hardships anymore, or the suffering sides of stuff anymore. You know what I mean? So you kind of have a blind eye to some things. So in a sense, to me, what we could call depression, or what we could call certain parts of suffering in our minds, is a good thing if you see it as a good thing, because it shows you that there's parts of you that still need to grow and evolve within your path of life, and really through that, going back into it, that's where yoga has really helped me, and I know it's helped so many other people. And that's why I really want to press that yoga is not just this 20-minute exercise, light exercise that you and your body can do to align yourself. There's a lot more to yoga than just a 20-minute or hour even exercise. It's a whole being of life. It is the meditation. It is the treating people as you want to be treated. It is the understanding of the overall aspect of the illusion of this creation, and the lower and higher powers of everything that's involved in it. There's so many sides to it. So for people that are interested in the show, and for people that are interested in the exercise part of it, I implore you to dive into all the many different sides of yoga, which you will dive into the different Vedas of the Hindu belief in that sense, because that's where it does come from originally. And you will dive into Buddhism or whatever you choose and whichever path you choose to take. But in saying that, I will say that, it personally has helped me so much in my life. And I'm not the most stretchy person and stuff. I can't do all the crazy moves, because to me, I focused a little bit more on the meditational side and the mantra side, and changing out of the exercise stuff. And I'm pretty new to the physical exercise part of it, to be honest. As far as having to, like I said in the first episode, I'm more of a free-form person as far as that goes. So making it into forms and finding the different traditional forms is new to me, is what I mean by that. So in saying that, I'm just going to wrap this up. All I say, too long didn't read, is your depression is not something that you should be sitting in, and feel free to talk about it. I feel like talking to other people about different sides of what you went through as a child, or what you're going through right now, or maybe what somebody did to you, or the job that you didn't get, the goal that didn't go through because, whatever happened. It's important to talk about it, but it's also important to let it go and not loop through that process, So in saying that, much love to everybody that's paid attention to this episode and Mind Body Monk so far. This is episode 3. Have a great day.
It's just energy transfer. Death is a lie.